Hey, what's up? This is Chose. This is going to be a Raid Shadow Legends champion guide for Giscard, the new epic that was part of the Underpriest Brogni fusion. We'll go over everything from the gearing, the booking, the masteries, the kit and base stat analysis, everything you need to know about Giscard. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so as you can see right here, I actually took Giscard to 60, fully maxed him. I even booked him and everything because I really wanted to be able to test him and go ahead and get some content out there about him because I think he's going to be a really solid epic. So I am unfortunately going to sacrifice him for Brogni probably tonight or tomorrow, but I wanted an opportunity to play around with him a little bit and get some content out there about him because I think he's going to be a very helpful epic for some people who summon him, or for those people that were looking to acquire some of these epics, maybe one or two of them, but they didn't feel like they had enough resources to go ahead and get everything to go for the fusion. So I wanted to get this out there about him because I think he's going to be a very solid epic. But anyway, he is in the Banner Lords and the new epic right here. This is going to be Giscard on the bottom left. And as always, my champion guides, I do have an infographic down below in a pinned comment if you want to pull that up and be able to look at it on your own time and take your time kind of reading everything on there. But the one thing I do always point out is the masteries. You don't want to blindly copy them. I try to put ones that are generally useful, but remember, they can change a lot. If you're using things in the clan boss or the arena, you may need very different masteries. So you do want to still read the masteries and build the champion according to how you are using him, but that'll be down there if you want to pull that up. So we'll get that put away. And the first thing I want to do is dive into the base stat analysis. So 17,500, that's okay for HP. He's a defense scaling champion, so defense is going to be the calling card. The attack of 683 is super low, but it's worthless on him. You don't want any attack. And remember, on that infographic up on the top right, the stat priority is in order of importance. So in green, that's going to be the priority. And then yellow, they're helpful. And then red is going to be stats that you want to completely avoid. And you can see there, the attack is completely worthless on him, so you don't need to worry about getting any attack. But the defense of 1454, pretty good for an epic. 96 is, it's a little on the slow end, but it's not too bad. It's not like a 91 or anything. Crit rate, crit damage, he's not really a huge damage dealer, not a big deal there. And then the resistance of 45 is pretty sturdy. The base accuracy of 0 is kind of unfortunate because he does need accuracy, but nonetheless, at least he gets 45 between the resistance and accuracy, which isn't too bad for an epic. Then as we dive into the kit analysis, we'll start with the A1. And remember, I know a lot of you are usually curious about the multipliers. The A1 multiplier is going to be a 3.65 single hitter that goes with defense. So we're going to hit one enemy with that, and it has a 50% chance that you can book up to 75 of placing the big version of decrease attack. So going to be amazing for those boss fight scenarios like the Faction Wars bosses. You can place the decrease attack on them, or you're farming dungeons, or even a clan boss. He'll be decent early to mid game for clan boss. Pretty good to have the decrease attack there, the big version on your A1. Then for the A2, remember, we've got an AoE attack, so we'll pull up the multiplier. It is a 3.6 multiplier AoE times the defense. And we're going to place also an AoE provoke, which is super good. That is very strong when booked to a 3-turn cooldown. Amazing ability for dealing with waves, faction wars, doom tower, things like that. Also going to place a shield. So not only do we get the CC from the provoke, but then we're also going to self-shield so that we can deal with the provoking that we just did by placing a shield buff on this champion equal to 25% of the max HP. So remember, we do want to prioritize getting lots of defense, but we're going to want a little bit of HP because he is going to soak up some of that and get some more mitigation based on the shield that he's placing on himself. Then for the A3, we've got placed a 60% increased defense buff and a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns, and we can book that again to a 3-turn cooldown. So it's a nice rotation of abilities. We've got the 3-turn, the 3-turn, and then the A1, which is a pretty good cycle for a champion to go through. And then we also get some value from the passive here. Fill the champion's turn meter by 15% whenever they are attacked by an enemy under a provoke or an increased attack buff. So not only does it have to be when they're provoked, but also if they're under an increased attack buff, it will also proc that same effect. And then we get an aura here of increased ally defense in faction crypts by 27%. So we'll have a general discussion about the kit and how the champion functions and everything. But now I want to dive into going over the gearing process, the booking, and the masteries. Okay, so here is the Giscard that I had built, and you can see here the freeze and accuracy sets going on him. Now, freeze is not necessarily like the god tier choice or anything. It's just that it's hard to find spots to use the free set, and I had some good pieces of it lying around. You can see they're all 6-star. I had 6-star legendary boots with speed on them, so I was like, okay, I've got some Frost gear I haven't used in a while. I want to try it on Giscard. He is a decent candidate for the Frost set because he does place provoke, so he's going to kind of draw attention from the enemy, and he's also a defense scaling champion, so his HP is going to be low, so even if he doesn't have the provoke online, the odds of the AI kind of prioritizing him because of his low HP when he's bumping up his defense is pretty decent. So if you're ever gonna get value from the freeze set, it's gonna be on somebody like Giscard. But if you're curious about the total stats, I'll pull that up so you can see here the 40k HP. Remember, the attack is completely worthless. 5100 defense, 200 speed. Crit rate, crit damage is kind of meh. If you get some, great. If not, oh well. He's not going to be a massive damage contributor. And then the resistance and the accuracy there of 274, which leads us into the gearing and the banner. You're probably going to want accuracy on this guy most of the time. He does really need it for the decreased attack, and then the most important part of his kit, which is the AoE provoke. So especially if you're using him in the arena, you really want to bump up the accuracy as high as you can get it. And then you're looking for your best blend of the toughness stats, which are defense and HP, and speed. That's going to be the main priority of what you're looking for. Defense, HP, speed. Amulet, going to want defense or HP. Remember, you do want a decent amount of HP on him for the shield that he helps himself. So your best blend of Amulet here, defense or HP, both are acceptable. Same thing on the ring. You just want to get as much stat stick, defense, and HP as you can possibly get on your ring. So whichever one you have best, go with that. On the boots, like with him being a provoker, I could see maybe trying something cute like going defense percent or something, but I think most of the time you're gonna want speed on him. And then the same as the banner, you're looking for defense, HP, and speed and accuracy. The chest, we're gonna typically want to go with defense on the big rolls here of chest and gloves to really stack up that defense, help him hit just a little bit harder when he does do damage, and then also make him super sturdy while keeping his HP probably low enough to be a priority target even when he doesn't have the provoke online, especially if you put him in something like a free set. Top ones are a little bit more self-explanatory, but I'll show you them in case you are curious. The helm and then the weapon right there. Then as we move into the booking process, on the infographic, you can see up there, he takes 15 epic books, which is rough. He is a very good epic, so he's worth it, especially if you haven't finished Bannerlord's Faction Wars, or if you're still trying to progress in dungeons, if you're early, mid-game. You don't have to feel bad about spending books on him because he is worth it. You would definitely want to get his cycles down to get the 3-turn and the 3-turn on the A2 and the A3. These are the most impactful books. You can get 2 and slam it from 5 to 3. This one's a little bit rough. You got to chew through a bunch of stuff, but you're getting a much higher chance of the provoke. You can see you're taking it from 50 to 75. So pretty big deal there to get those books. The A1, if you want to save a couple, you can. He starts out with a pretty decent chance of the 50, and then those are going to bump it up to 75. So if you want to save a little bit on the A1, you can if you're really trying to do a budget, but don't feel bad about spending on the A2 and the A3 because he is definitely worth it, and the passive doesn't need any books. So then as we go over the masteries, so the provoke, I think, is the most important part of his kit. So I think it might be fun to get Fearsome Presence because you can't get that provoke up to be a 100% chance to proc. The best we can get it is on the AoE 50 plus 75 is 25. So with this mastery, you're going to take it from 75 to 80, which is pretty decent. Not as good as like the stun set when you take it from 18 to 23, but going from 75 to 80, you definitely will feel it, especially over the course of a large sample size. If you're farming like Bannerlords, Faction Wars every day with him or something, you will feel it. And also if you're using him in the arena and you want it to be as consistent as possible, not a bad idea to go with that. You could also justify Eagle Eye. There's a few different things you could try out with him that you could justify, but this was kind of the most general setup that I could think of. And if you ever want to see these at any time, then remember that infographics down below in the pinned comment for you to pull it up. And then just so you can see this guy in action, this is kind of like a mid-game type team that I put together just so you can see the rotation of his skills and what he looks like kind of fighting here. There you can see he prioritizes buffing the allies, getting that defense and attack up. So the attack can help you a lot if you're trying to like speed farm Faction Wars or chew through dungeons. That attack buff is kind of a nice little, so he's not only like a toughness booster, but he can also help the attack of your team and help you really crank out a lot more damage with that 50% increased attack. But I think he's going to be probably best in like the Golem. Like those AoE provokes on wave 2 can be super impactful to maybe help stop them from getting that reflect damage up as soon, and just helping to soak up some pressure. So I think Ice Golem will be one of his best spots to help you progress, but he's going to be really good in any wave scenario. So anything like Faction Wars, Doom Tower, where you're facing a lot of regular mobs, but then also in the boss fights. Remember, he's got that A1 that's going to have almost permanent decreased attack. So really, he covers a lot of bases, and he's got a lot of good value baked into his kit. There you can see the AoE provoke coming down on the hounds, and then the one in the back there. But yeah, so we'll talk about some of the stuff when we get him graded. I'll go through every area in the game after I kind of show you this run, let you see the numbers. We'll grade him in every single area of the game. But yeah, I think they did a great job. He looks kind of cool. He looks very big, standing there on the. You can see him compared to Reliquary Tender there. He's a big Bannerlord, lots of armor, looks super cool. So yeah, great aesthetics. Cool kit, great epic. So if you weren't able to go for the fusion, he is one that I would have prioritized out of the 4 epics. Probably him and like they're all decent to have. You can't really go wrong on any of them. But I think Giscard would be a really good source of kind of wave progression, CC, decrease attack on the boss. I think he'd be a great addition to your roster if you weren't able to go for Brogni. He wouldn't have been a bad one to prioritize. I wanted to fast forward just a little bit and get you to the numbers here. So you can see here that he did about 773, which was, you know, half of Syl, above Apothecary. Apothecary does have the Giant Slayer procs. So the damage is not amazing, but it's not like trash. Would I build him as like a damage dealer? No, I would build him more as a utility support. But now let's go ahead and grade him in every single area of the game. And then we'll have a talk about his design and kind of wrap up my opinions on him. So for the grades here, campaign, he's fine. He could probably farm it with good gear and help you out, but you're not going to want to use him as an XP farmer. In terms of 3-starring content, he could be decent. It'd be like a 3.5 or a 4 on that. Arena offense, I'll go 3 because I want to go 4 on defense. He's a little bit better on defense, so I'll go 3 and then 4 there. Faction Wars, definitely 5. He's going to be great there. Clan Boss, the decreased attack A1. He increases the defense of your team. I think he'd be pretty decent. He'd be, again, like a 3.5 or a 4. Pretty decent for like the early to mid game. But he's probably going to lose out on some value towards the end game. Or early game, mid game, sorry, and then lose some value in the end game. Force Keep, he is Affinity Strong. We'll go 4 there. Spirit Keep, nothing special to the table, but a pretty good support, so we'll go 4. Ice Golem, I think that's one of his best dungeons. We'll go 5. Then for the Dragon Lair, as of right now, he is Affinity weak, but he'd be a really good support for the waves. We'll go 4. Minotaur, he places decreased attack, and he's a great support for the waves, so we'll go 5. Spider, he's got some self-shielding. He can provoke the Spiderlings, decrease attack of the boss. He can do some fun stuff. Again, he kind of slots in that 3.5 or a 4. I'll go 3 on this because he is Affinity weak to level 20, but he could help you on Spider 19 because that one's 4, since Spider 19 is a big hurdle for lots of people. But I don't think he's amazing in the Spider. I just think he's okay. Void Keep, he's fine. He'd be like a 4 there. And then Fire Knight, he does have a single hit A1 and doesn't do anything like manipulate speed or steal turn meter. He's going to be more helpful for the waves part of it. So again, he'd be right there in like that 3.5. We'll go 4 because he's Affinity Strong. The Magic Keep, he's going to be Affinity weak. So we're going to go with a 3, just kind of be a normal support there. So now in conclusion, let's go ahead and pull up the infographic and we'll just kind of wrap up my thoughts on playing around with him for a little bit and building him and testing him. So I think they did a really good job on designing him. The aesthetics are cool. He scales with defense. He's got a pretty cool kit, a nice rotation. He's got value against waves, value against bosses. I think he'll be a great progression champion to help people move along in their accounts when they get him. And this was probably the best they did in terms of designing the epics for a fusion event, the ones that fuse into a legendary. This was probably the best batch of 4 epics that they designed. So I'm happy with that part of it. Obviously, we all know there's some things we would have changed in terms of how the fusion was done, but just talking about the champions in a vacuum, that was probably the best job they did in designing the 4 epics that went into the legendary, if that makes sense. I hope it does. But yeah, Giscard, I wanted to get this out there because I think A lot of people probably made the decision to just prioritize this guy. People that didn't have enough resources or enough time or weren't endgame enough or whatever to go for the Brogni fusion, this will be some content for them to understand that Giscard is a pretty good champion, worth building, and is going to really help you progress, and he's a great addition to the Bannerlords faction. If you have not cleared that yet, he'll do a great job in there for you. The decreased attack is going to be big on that last boss, and it'll also help you a ton with the waves. So, as always, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.